What's going on, Internet? Selfish here with retrospect. CrossMixOS is my favorite operating system for the TrimUI Smart Pro, which is one of my favorite handhelds from last year. TrimUI Smart Pro is a phenomenal little handheld, and CrossMix just keeps making it better and better with these updates. But it's come to my attention that a couple people have been having a hard time doing this update on their own. So I thought I'd take a couple minutes here and make a quick tutorial video for you with a couple different ways you can do the update, as well as maybe how to overcome some of the obstacles you've been running into. Let's take a look. As you probably well know by now, the TrimUI Smart Pro is one of my favorite handhelds of all time, especially in the last year. I just love the comfort, the availability, the emulators that are there, but the handheld itself does struggle somewhat on the stock OS. CrossMix has made all the changes in the world to this thing, making emulators work better and things like that. I'll have videos down on my thingamabob about CrossMixOS and some of the things that it can do. Today we're really going to focus on doing the update, and I will kind of highlight a couple of new features that are being added to it as well, but for the most part, we're going to spend this time doing the update. Now, there is multiple ways you can do this update, and I'm going to go through the two that one of the two should work for you. And the first one I'm going to show you how to do is the over-the-air update. Now, this will only work if you already have CrossMixOS installed on your handheld. Otherwise, you're just looking to do a fresh install, which is a completely different process and very simple. There will also be a link to where you can get directions for that down in my thingamabob. When you're on your main screen here, use your left and right bumpers to navigate around. We are actually going to go over here to the apps gallery. Now, first you do have to make sure you're online, and right now I am not actually online, so I will have to connect to Wi-Fi in order for this particular way of upgrading to work. So I will sign on to my Wi-Fi quick, and then I will show you how to do the over-the-air update. And now that I'm on Wi-Fi, we're going to go over here to the apps menu. So the apps menu is kind of in the middle of your menus. You can obviously see it says apps on the top, and we're going to go to where it says OTA update. This is your over-the-air update. Now, we should, in theory, have it tell me that there is an update available. The first check to make sure you have Wi-Fi. It's going to run a script, and yes, I do have an update available. And it's going to say press A to continue. So it does show me I'm on version 1.2.0, and version 1.3.0 is available. Now, you do have to have 5 gigs of available space on your memory card when you do this. If you do not have 5 gigs because you've completely loaded your card up, you are going to want to pull some of that data off. Maybe just pull some games off and drag them to your desktop until after the update's complete, and then put them back onto your card. That's a word to the wise, and I would double check that prior to even getting to this step. So I'm going to hit A. It's going to go through the update process. Do I want to download version 1.3? Yes. There's a lot of variables here on how much time it's going to take, including the speed of your memory card, the speed of your Wi-Fi, how much space you have on your card can also make a difference for how long it'll take, and also the quality of your card. Make sure you're using a name brand quality card when doing something like this. If you are using the card that TrimUI provided with the handheld, you're likely going to want to change that out, because those cards are very budget friendly, we'll say, and they tend to leak information when you're doing something like this. So right off the bat, I would just do a fresh install on a fresh card, if that was the case. Now here, I'm going to let this run through, and if we don't have any errors, all we'll have to do is a reboot at the end, and then it will finish the installation. But we're going to find out what happens here. As much as I want to keep holding this up for you, it does say it's going to take 21 minutes and 34 seconds, so I'm going to skip ahead in the video. All right, once it's all done downloading, you're going to be greeted with this screen right here. It's going to ask you if you would like to apply Update 3.0. This will cause a restart, and the installation process will begin. So you should see it being applied and then rebooting to run the installation file. CrossMix update was found. Press A to install or B to cancel. We're going to hit A, and here goes the installation. You're going to see a whole bunch of scripts and things like that. Kind of just disregard what it says. I don't know why, but usually when you do these updates, and I haven't tried this one yet, you'll see some things that say, oh, this failed, or that failed, or whatever. It checks the available memory, make sure it has enough memory. It says to be patient. Again, some things might say they failed. They won't. It'll correct itself afterwards. Kind of hoping for an insufficient memory error. I don't think I'm going to get it, but if I do, that's one of the things that people have been getting, and I would like to show you how to fix that. Either way, I'm going to show you how to fix it, but kind of hoping that I get it. It's a weird thing with like, I don't know if it's like a held cache in the SSD. You kind of just need to do a fresh install on that side and clear everything out and then do the update. But we'll see if we get it. So I'm going to let this run. This also, the decompression for this takes about 4 minutes, and we'll just let her keep bucking. Now we're getting our reboot here at the end of the installation process. It's done running its scripts, and now we should be booting right back into CrossMixOS. A to continue. So now we need to hold the volume down and power button in order for it to actually complete the installation. And what you want to do is wait till you see the green bar appear on the screen. As soon as that happens, you can let go of the buttons. So what we're going to do, we need to shut off the device, and then we're going to hold the, again, volume down and the power button at the same time when we reload it. Now that the device is shut down, we're first going to hit this volume down. If you hit the power button first, it doesn't really matter the order, but you do want to make sure that you have them in a pretty sequential fashion. Otherwise, if it starts to power before the volume down button, it's just going to go back to that same screen. So volume down and power, and then we're going to hold these till we see the green bar on the screen showing that the update is installing. And then we can let go and let that installation continue. We have Portmaster installing now for CrossMix, doing its update. I think you'll notice every time you go into Portmaster, there's probably an update available. Most of the time, it's just adding games to the list, but you never know. This is going to do an update, though, specifically for this operating system, just because there is some increased functionality. And there we go. We are complete. You may need to sign back into your Wi-Fi again. Most of your settings, everything are going to stay the same. It is obviously rebooting, so it is going to log you out of your Wi-Fi as far as that goes. And we can touch here at the end a few of the new additions to this. Again, if you go to any of my videos down on my thingamabob, they'll be listed as just additional videos. There are some for CrossMix that go over a little bit more in depth than what we're going to do here today as far as the operating system goes. But it looks like everything's on here. I am not running the Surwish card on this one. I am on the other one that we're going to do now. We're going to do a manual install of the operating system. And you would need that if you got an error or something like that in the installation process, or if it's not picking up that you actually need to do an install. So I'll show you how to do that. All right, now with this TrimUI brick that I have, this is running the Surwish CrossMix kind of memory card that they sell over there at MechDIY, and it is allowing to do an over-the-air update, but because I'm a rebel without a cause, we're going to take the card out of here, and I'm going to show you how to do a manual update. Some people are running into an issue with the over-the-air updates. There are some fixes that can actually force it to go through, but honestly, it's just easier to do a manual update, so I'm going to show you how to do that right now. First thing you want to do is power the device off and take out the memory card. Now, when we put this into the computer, then we're also going to be able to check to make sure we have enough memory to be able to do the update, which is important as well. Again, you do want to have 5 gigs of open space. I think you actually only need 2, but the rule here has always been 5 gigs. We'll make sure we have 5 open gigs on here, and we'll complete that card. So let's jump on the computer here real quick. All right, so the first thing we want to do is, like I said before, check to make sure we have enough memory on our memory card here available. So we want to have at least 5 gigs available. So just right click over here on your CrossMix card in your file explorer and hit properties. Looks like I have 7.21 gigs available. So thank you, MechDIY, for leaving just enough space so I can do some updates to this bad boy. So thank you so much. Now we're going to go to a web page, and the link is down on my thingamabob for this. I'm not going to link you directly to the software itself. I'm going to link you to the page to download it. The reason being is A, you know what you're downloading. I'm not just sending you on some wild goose chase and you're going to download some random file that you don't know what it is. And B, for some reason the link keeps changing. So if I just link it to that, you're going to get an error. This morning I actually tried and just looked up the software and then copied the link. And then when I pasted it in to try this now, it came over the 404 error. So we're just going to go directly to the download page itself. And that's going to land you on this page right here. Again, that link is down on my thingamabob. And this will talk about everything you need to know. This will go over some of the updates to CrossMixOS right now. And we can discuss those after we get this update done. But there's a lot of changes that were made, hopefully all for the good. But I don't want that to distract from what we're trying to do here. You can look through all these while you're in here to do your update as well. So we're going to come down here where it says assets. And on yours, it'll look like this. And it'll say assets. You just click on it. There's 3 assets available. This is for the 1.3 update. See, version 1.3. Just scroll down until you hit assets. And then you want this right here, CrossMixOS 1.3 zip. And then I created a folder for it. So I just got to figure out where I put that. TSP CrossMix update. We're going to save it right into this folder. You can save it right in your downloads if that's where all your downloads go. Doesn't really matter. You can save it directly to your desktop if you want to do that as well. When we're done here, you can delete the file off of your computer once we're completed with the update. The file itself isn't super big. Yeah, so I thought we could get away with 2 gigs, and the file itself is 1.97 gigs. So the rule of thumb is 5 gigs, but it looks like we could have got away with 1.97, so 2 gigs essentially. You do also, though, want to leave some room for when everything unpacks when it's doing the install, and so then you could run into some issues. So I would still stick with the 5 gig rule. If you have too much information on your card, just move it to your desktop and move it back. You can even see in this folder that I have stuff for my brick when I was doing a brick update. I mean, I moved my files from one to the other for that as well. It does look like the download is complete, which is awesome. So now we will go back over here. So this is our downloaded file that we have, CrossMix 1.3.0. And all we have to do is put that on to what they call the root of this CrossMix SD card right here. And this is the root. This is the main folder when you sign in. So all we have to do now is just drop and drag this onto the root. This will probably take a minute or two because we are transferring to a memory card. It tends to take a little bit longer. I think this is all going to change in the next couple of years once we get these express cards going, but it won't take too long. All right, so that's complete. So now we're not quite done yet. So we do have to make one modification to the CrossMix update SH file. And you're going to find that here. It's under System, User, TrimUI, Scripts. And then we're going to look for, it's called CrossMix_update.sh. Right there. We're going to open that up. We're going to modify it with Notepad. Okay, now the reason what we're modifying in here is the name of the file that it looks for when it boots, because we just changed the name to 1.3.0 instead of 1.2.0 or 1.2.1 or whatever it was before. So we just need to go in here and find where the old script name is and change that. Don't do too much scrolling around here. You're going to get yourself confused. I just like reading through all this stuff. But all we're going to do up here is just change this to V, and we're going to put 1.3.0, which is the name of our file if you look wherever that was. V1.3.0. So 1.3.0, and then we're going to go File, Save. All right, and then we can just close that. So we will now just have to insert the card into the device. So let's close this stuff out here, and then we are going to eject. And we'll put it in the device. All right, so we got our card out of there, and we are going to put that card right here into the SD memory card slot. Hopefully not the way I just did it, because it's upside down, I'm pretty sure. Yep, sure is. I forget this is one of the only handhelds that it goes the right way up. All right, then we're going to hit the power button here. I don't believe we do a power and down right now. I believe it's going to pop up a prompt to do that. So now it says, update has been found, 1.3.0. Do we want to install? Yes. So now we're going to go through the same process we went through on the other one with the over-the-air update, but this is physically on the card itself. And so now it's going to go through the checks that the other one did, and we'll let her buck here for a few minutes, and she'll install herself. And once again, we're just finishing updating Portmaster, and then we will be back into the device like we were last time, and we should be good to go. Fingers crossed. I got a lot of fingerprints on this thing while I was doing this. Let's clean her up a little bit. We now have CrossMixOS 3.0 on here. We are good to go. So everything is up and running correctly. Now, you could run into an issue where an error pops up. And this is what I wanted to add to this and kind of teach you how to fix this problem. There is a patch that you can actually install onto the root of the SD card, which will kind of flush this out to the original build. The error message that you get is for memory, but it's actually just memory that's stored on the SSD on the inside of the TrimUI itself. And for whatever reason, sometimes ports, especially if you use a lot of Portmasters, some of the ports kind of just get bloated inside the SSD on the TrimUI Smart Pro. They almost get like stuck in there and just keep piling onto themselves. You never really see an issue until you need to access that memory, which you need to do in order to do the update. I'm going to take the card out. I'm going to show you what to download and where to put it on your card. I obviously don't need to do this process, but I will get you to the process and then walk you through the end of it without actually doing it. And all it's going to do is clear all that information out, and then it should allow the update to go through after this process happens. So let's take the card out real quick. The link to where we're going is down in my thingamabob. I also will have a link directly to the file if you're feeling confident and don't want to read directions, but we will open the one up with directions, and this will just be to get the error where it tells you that your internal storage is saturated, which causes CrossMixOS to not be able to find the update. So let's take a look at this real quick. For some reason, this didn't save the first time I did it, so we're going to try this again, and hopefully we get it right this time. So if you get a weird error message that tells you that you're out of memory or something like that, it's because it's all stuck in the cache, and it's typically caused by Portmaster, and some of the ports just continue to overwrite themselves but not actually clear themselves out of the history. Not the only thing that causes this, but it is probably the most common thing that causes this problem. It's not a big deal. The message will say something around like your internal storage is saturated. We can clear this out. So there's one really easy way to do it, unless you're a brilliant script writer and you want to write the script yourself. You can actually just download this patch right here. It's like 67 megabytes, and you're just going to download that. I'm going to put that right in that same CrossMix folder I created the other one in. Once it's downloaded, we just have to put this onto the root of the memory card, again like we did before. So you'll see once it's done downloading, let's see, here's the root of my memory card, done. So, and hopefully we're recording this time so we don't have to do it again. So we're gonna open that folder up, and all we have to do is drop this onto here. Now, my memory card's full after that update, so I don't think it's gonna work. Nope. So I only got 10 megabytes of free space. I need to clear some stuff up. I didn't delete anything off my card like I recommended. So again, I would recommend, clearing up some stuff on your card prior to doing the update. The update is a little bit bigger too than the previous version of CrossMix, I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe it is a little bit bigger. But you're just going to drag it onto there. Once you drag it onto there and into that root folder like we did with the other one, all you're going to have to do is get it out of here, and then we are going to throw it back in the device and reboot with a little caveat. Now, the link to that will be in my thingamabob, so if you want to follow directions on the page that I opened, there is a link for that, or if you just want to straight download the patch, there's also a link for that down there. Now, we're just going to take our memory card here, and we are going to put it back into our TrimUI Smart Pro. The kicker here is, and the only difference is here, I guess, is you are going to do the volume down and power button to boot up the TrimUI Smart Pro. And then you're going to hold that again until you get that green bar on the screen. And then it's going to walk you through that same process of doing the reboot and everything else. Once that is complete, then go back and do the update. And it should go through without a hitch. You're going to be a happy TrimUI Pro user just like the rest of us are. I just want to pause real quick because it just dawned on me that maybe you're just somebody that watches all my videos and maybe you don't have a TrimUI Smart Pro, but you've seen me talk about it plenty of times and you're still debating whether you want to get it. But now you're like, well, there's this whole OS update thing that I'll probably have to do. Here, hear me out. I got the devices here that I'm using for this video from MechDIY. They are a huge friend of the channel. There's links down in my thingamabob to go directly to their site for the TrimUI Smart Pro if you want to buy it by itself. You can also get it with CrossMix already pre-installed and the Surwish card, which has a lot of phenomenal games. It's got a really good library to it. I would definitely recommend that. They also do carry the TrimUI brick in all these 4 colors. This is one that they just, I was going to wait till this video I've got coming up to show this off, but they actually had engraved my logo right on the back of this TrimUI brick. So they are doing some big things over there. In fact, I do have an accessory video coming out for the TrimUI brick soon, so stay tuned for that. But back to what I was talking about, you can also just get the card itself if you already have one of these devices. And links to that is down on my thingamabob as well. And if you use that link, also use my discount code. Nobody's stopping you. It's Retrospect16. It's right up here on the screen. Use that code. It will save you some money. They're willing to give up the money for it. So I would definitely go over there and use that. Thanks again, MechDIY, for being such a great partner to the channel and helping me get good content out there to the viewers. I don't want to go too crazy, but I did want to touch on a couple of things that are in this update because I think that they might be important, or things that maybe were a little wonky before that they fixed that I think are really good to talk about. You can now save a preferred launcher per system per game. Before, you could only do the system to the launcher. Now, an individual game you can actually have set up. There's other custom firmware out there that already allowed this, so I think that they saw that there was some success there and they decided to add this. I could be wrong as far as the reasoning goes, but it's a really good add because say you're playing a game and it only specifically plays really well using one of the cores for that specific game, and all your settings, you can specifically save them for that game. I think I said that twice now, but just in case. The other thing I think that was a really big one is you can now use the menu button as your hotkey in RetroArch. For whatever reason, in the original CrossMixOS, that was not the case. So you were still using your start and select type stuff for your hotkeys. You now have the ability to use the menu button as your hotkey in RetroArch. So that's going to save a lot of heartache for people who were exiting games on accident and things like that. Now Screen Scraper will work with all systems. There were some systems it was skipping before, and I'm not sure why it did that, and most people probably never even noticed. They just thought, maybe this ROM isn't named correctly, and so it can't find it. But now Scraper will work with all system types. And I believe they added a network share directory, and I'm not sure where that is. It's probably under system tools, I bet. Let's see if we can find it here real quick. But there is a network share directory being added. Now, I'm installing this right now for the first time to do this video. So I haven't actually used it in the last 2 weeks because I've been out of the country, and so I haven't had access to a computer to do this. So now that I'm home and able to do this, it was just perfect timing to make this video. But I'm going to kind of learn a couple things here with you. I read all about this. I know what's on here. I just haven't exactly figured out where to find a couple things. But you do have a network folder that's always been on here. Sure, there's more options within the network folder here. This is where your sync thing is too. They did do some fixes to sync thing because sync thing was having some issues. That is part of this update, is some fixes to sync thing, which is phenomenal that they're doing that as well. The share discovery, you're going to see that through RetroArch more than anything else, but it'll help you discover if, like, I want to play with my son. It'll make it easier for us to play together. To exit things now, it's going to be menu start, Instead of start select, it'll be menu start. That's again just to separate that key so you're not accidentally exiting out of stuff. Your start and select keys are pretty close together. I have exited games on accident while I was trying to hit the start button. Usually it's at the beginning of a game, so it's not a big deal, but that is something that they did fix. You also do now have the music player and an ebook reader, which will be great for me because I like to read my comics on my handhelds. Then they did add a bunch of cores to RetroArch as well, like the Flycast 1.0, Java Sincero 1.9. A couple of Doom cores were added. There's Final Burn Neo Tate mode now, so you can play in Tate mode under the Final Burn Neo cores. They added the new Advanced Meme 4.0 and some Upin stuff, DOSBox. I mean, there's just a list of stuff they did. And then they also added the MGBA emulator as a standalone on here, so you don't have to run it through RetroArch. You can actually run it on the standalone. And some games on Game Boy Advance do run better on the standalone version of the emulator, so this will give you more accessibility by having that available. There are also some new overlays for Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and then just some new overlays in general for the other systems on here. There's also 2 translation layers, including Ukrainian, Brazilian, and Vietnamese. In the past, there have been some Portmaster games that have had an issue with RetroArch, and now they have fixed that as well. There is a pile of stuff. If you want to go back to that original page that I had you download version 1.3.0 on, you can actually just scroll through there and see it. I've listed off about maybe a sixth of what's on there. Those are just the things that I think are probably pretty important to a lot of people, especially if you've been in this game for a while. All those things are going to stand out to you as things that are great to have improvements on. But for now, everything's running. You should be good to go. I know I said I was gonna make this a quick video. It's already longer than I wanted it to be. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section down below. I will try to answer them for you and promptly, hopefully, be able to get to them a little bit quicker than I was last week when I didn't have access to the internet most of the week. I think I'm gonna leave it right there. So that's all I got for you today. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share this video with your friends because sharing is caring. And you know we care about each other because I was reached out to and asked, hey, can you make this video for us? Because we're having issues. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I'll get it done for you today. That's how much I care about you guys. Hopefully this will get you through to the end. Don't forget to click on one of these magical videos up here on the screen that Google picked out for you because they say you're going to like it and they know you better than you do. That's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.